TV license. Can you think of an even more sexier word? Well, maybe not the sexiest word I know either, to be honest, even though it's my work since 3.5 years ago. Coming from the outside to the public service environment, it was a little bit of an interesting environmental change. I will go through some parts of it, but I think it's important that we try to do the invoice as sexy as possible, because that's what the TV license actually is. You don't get anything more, because you can already access the public services broadcasters without paying. That's a little bit pity, but it's true. Is it a mission impossible to get more payers and still get a more positive attitude for this invoice? Well, maybe it is, but I will tell you a little bit about our journey that we've done in Sweden about the invoice of the TV license. First of all, the brand. Coming into the public service and talking about the brand is a little bit like swearing in the church. Brand is not beautiful in public service. We are above brands sometimes. But still, is there a difference being a public authority when it comes to building brand? I would say no. We are part of the rest of the world. We can't say that, okay, I try to do it sometimes, especially when I'm amongst friends. Okay, you're from the public sector and you're from the private sector. But you have to realize, I'm from the public service sector. It's a special kind of economy. We work with TV license. We don't have tax, that's awful. And we don't have commercial interest, that's even worse. So we have the beautiful loveliness of public service. But still, everybody is a part of the world, and we can't just try to make a difference in that sense. So we have to adapt to it. And what do I think is the key success factors when we should build a brand? It has to be relevant, it has to be attractive, and it has to gain approval, both internally, but also, of course, in the society. So, what did we do? This Folkhögskolan in Kiruna, public school in Kiruna, where our company is situated. That's where it all began. A very, very cool winter night in March, which means like minus 25 degrees Celsius. We went to this big school, all of us, all 100 employees of Radiotjanst, and we did a post-it exercise. Everyone got post-it tags, and we had to answer 3 questions. What do you think the world thinks about Radiotjanst and TV license? Was the first question. What do you think about Radiotjanst as an employer? Was the second one. And how do you want Radiotjanst and the TV license to be perceived in the future? Was the third one. I had prepared, because I was a little bit afraid that we should get 2 positive answers to the first question, how we were perceived in the environment outside, coming from the outside. But I was proven wrong. We did have a quite good sickness and knowledge of our status. There were words like Stasi, words like bureaucrats, hunting authorities, and that kind of thing was the word we used. Not so positive ones. When we come to the thing, how we thought that Radiotjanst was as an employer was much more positive. We were effective, like with the stars as well. We were dedicated, we were professional. So there was something to build on there. But when we come to the most important question, how do you want to be perceived in the future? We come down to 3 words or 3 statements that we try to live after and we try to work from. And that's our core values today, and it should be the core value of our brand. And the first one, which might be the most important one, that's Radiotjanst is an important part of public service. We have to acknowledge the importance of the TV license for public service. That is actually one of the importance of the independence, of the freedom, and of the democracy is that it's actually financed in a very peculiar way. But it has to be that way, and we have to explain why it has to be that way. Of course, it has to be value for money. You have to understand where the money goes, and you have to think it's worth something. And even if you don't watch or listen to it every day where the money goes, you have to realize what it does for the society or for the channels you actually listen to or watch. And of course, we have to be much more customer-oriented. We can't be too bureaucratic. We have to have a tone when we talk about to our, I tend to say customers, some people react on that, but still I have to think that's a mental way we have to look upon them as customers. So we have to talk to the license payers in a friendly and as friendly possible way as possible. Of course, sometimes we come into confrontation and then we can't be as friendly as we could maybe want to be. Then we have to be quite tough. If someone has a TV they don't want to pay. Because at the end of the day, it's of course a law. But as customer-oriented as possible. And when we took this together and we tried to make communication of it, we ended up to this main message. Thanks to you and all the others who pay their TV license, we have radio and television that isn't commercially or politically influenced. This is a time when we shift of focus. Earlier we said you have to pay. That's the most important message we always sent out. And we did it in our broadcaster SVT, where we know that like normally it's 9 out of 10 that pays, and in the ones watching SVT is 99 out of 100 that pays already. So it's a little bit few ones we actually target down with that kind of message. So here we did shift, and we focus on the one actually paying, and we thank them and explain why they're paying. And how did we do it? We did it like this.
Ursäkta. Är det du som är Katarina Tillberg?
Ja, det är jag.
Tack Katarina, du har betalat din TV-avgift. Och tack José och Ann och Jörgen och många, många fler. Tack för alla bidrag från öst till väst, norr till söder. Tack för att du betalar din TV-avgift.
That was the way we did it. We shift the focus and we become much more positive. And it was very appreciated. Most of the people actually liked it very much when we did investigations and so on, and the willingness to pay increased in all groups, even the ones that didn't like the system of the TV license. So we also take this further. We started to use an invoice folder where we actually explain a little bit of what public service is and where the money goes. And we also had different people telling why they think public service is important. So we have a different perspective of the public service offer and what it is. And also to point out the difference of public service amongst our competitors, the commercial channels, and why it's important that both parts are existing. But how should we take this further? One of the good things with the first one was that we actually got the ones inside the boats, so to speak, to be more positive. But of course we wanted to get more people into the boat. And as I mentioned, most of the people watching our channels tend to be the ones paying for them as well. How can we get outside that? Well, we wanted to increase the positive feeling about the TV license and also knowledge about the TV license is what it's all about. And of course we wanted to get more people to pay. And when we looked upon did some analysis and saw which one are paying, which are not, we could see that the ones not paying are quite skilled web users. They are against traditional direct advertising. They're relatively positive to public service, but they're not big consumers of public service. And they are quite urban. So we thought we did an analysis and we thought we should go with outdoor advertisement. There are lots in public transportation, there are lots in so on and so forth, so we do a great outdoor campaign where we